Against Rudy May. He's a right-handed hitter. He's 2 for 21 so far. May sets, kicks, and deals. A breaking ball hit deep to left center. White's after it. He's got a long run. It is gone. A home run for Dan Ford. And the Twins lead 2-0.
Pitch bounced. Pass Carew down the right field line. That's going to be trouble. It gets by Ford. And Nettles is going to score. Gamble's going to try for 3, and he's going to make it. Gamble position. The payoff pitch. Line drive, base hit, left center field. That'll get Gamble in easily, and Randolph makes a big turn and comes back. And it's a 4-3 ball game. There's a base hit to left field, and Randolph is going to try it. The throw will not be in time, and the Yankees have tied it up. Lou Piniella pulled that. Ready for the payoff pitch. Here it is, base hit, left center field. That'll score Piniella, and the Yankees are out in front, 5-4. Holy cow, the Yankees really coming through here in the 4th inning. That's 4 consecutive base hits.
New York City had a housewarming party today to celebrate the renewal of Yankee Stadium, a place of legends in American sport. The special guest list was enough to tell of its past glory. Mrs. Babe Ruth, Mrs. Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, Joe Louis, Gifford of the football giants, Blanchard and Davis of Army, Lou Jack of Notre Dame, and a lot of others too. Charles Osgood reports.
54,000 people, all the new Yankee Stadium can hold, turned out to watch her debut today. Well, they called it her debut, but she's really the old $6 million lady born 53 years ago, dressed up in a brand new $100 million dress. Some New Yorkers don't think that's any way for a city that's broke to spend its money. A few hundred demonstrators protested, but they were well outnumbered by those who came to cheer. The stadium looks terrific, all gleaming white on the outside, blue paint and fresh grass on the inside. She has new outfield walls, nice and padded so the outfielders won't hurt themselves, and new dimensions, and a new playing field that's fully 5 feet lower than the old one used to be. She has new parking lot, new wider seats, new escalators, new refreshment stands, press box, and stadium club, new clubhouse, new everything. They tore her apart while the Yankees were camping out in Queens the last couple of years, but they tried to keep some of the old familiar features. Her graceful shape, her address in the Bronx, her name, and of course her memories. They wouldn't want to touch those. Nobody here needed the plaques in center field to remind them of the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, or the Yankee Clipper, Joltin' Joe, of power and style and class, of perfect moments, even a perfect World Series game in this imperfect world. Or of the Babe. For this is the place all shining and new where baseball's most glorious legend grew. New York couldn't afford what they had to pay, but they went and did it anyway. For no matter how much they change her face, there's a spirit here they can't erase. It will still be the house that Ruth built. Charles Osgood, CBS News, New York.
Incidentally, the Yankees won the first game, played in their remodeled home, beating Minnesota 11-4.
A final note, after 2 seasons in rented quarters, the New York Yankees came home today to the new Yankee Stadium, its very own domain the New York City built for many, many dollars. 5 years ago, the city agreed to spend $24 million. The tab actually may be over $100 million, and there are those who are outraged. But on this beautiful spring day, the national sport was the big thing, and the crowds were out full force. John Martin has the details.
It was a sellout, more than 50,000 people streaming into a new Yankee Stadium today, remodeled and refurbished at a cost that has created angry debate among New Yorkers.
Now, because of what we poured into Yankee Stadium, we're leaving half-completed schools and half-completed hospitals and police stations, and we're firing police and firemen, and it's really a bad scene for the people.
When it first opened 53 years ago, Yankee Stadium symbolized success in a city on the rise. A metropolis so great it could support 3 Major League Baseball teams at once. The Yankees were a symbol of strength. Babe Ruth's 60 home runs, Lou Gehrig's 14 years at first base without missing a game. Joe DiMaggio was here today and here in 1941 when he hit safely in 56 straight games, still the record. But now the Yankees and their neighbors have fallen on hard times. The Bronx today is beset by abandoned buildings and street crime. To keep the Yankees from leaving town, Mayor John Lindsay persuaded the city to pledge the initial $24 million to rebuild the stadium. But in 3 years, like a fly ball caught by the wind and carried over the fence, the cost has doubled and doubled again. Mayor Beam was city controller when work started, but he is not taking credit.
As controller, I disagreed with the amount which was going to cost. At that time, I said it'll be at least twice as much. As it turns out, it's more than that.
They took a big chance. You know, it's more things that they could have spent it on. You know, the schools, the firehouses, the police, even as far as getting this cleaned up, the streets cleaned up.
The city says taxes and rent on the new stadium could bring in $3 million this year alone. But by one estimate, it must pay $5.5 million a year in interest. The fans at today's game were not upset.
I think the city's done a fantastic job. It cost a lot of money, but I think it was really worthwhile because the Yankees are just part of history, American history.
When the first Yankee Stadium opened, it symbolized New York's economic vitality. But the newest Yankee Stadium symbolizes something different. A city trying desperately to revive the glory of its past by spending more money than it can afford. John Martin, ABC News, New York.
It was a fine day for the hometown fans. The Yankees beat Minnesota 11-4. That's the news. I'm Harry Reisner. Good night.
Tonight's nightly news special involves a shrine called Yankee Stadium, a rebuilt shrine at a cost of perhaps $100 million. Today was opening day at Yankee Stadium in New York City, an occasion marked by a baseball game, many memories, and some thoughts about how much things cost these days. Our reporter, Dick Schaap of NBC News.
This is the most famous setting for sporting events since the Lions played in the original Coliseum. Yankee Stadium is filled now with 54,000 people and with ghosts. The ghost who dominates the stadium, of course, is Babe Ruth, the man who made this structure possible and necessary. 4 years after the stadium opened in 1923, Ruth hit his historic 60th home run here. 34 years later, another Yankee, Roger Maris, broke Ruth's record with this, his 61st home run. Above all else, this park is haunted by baseball players, by the DiMaggios, the Mantles, the Gehrigs, the Don Larsons, by the men who made this stadium the site of more World Series and the home of more world champions than any other baseball field. But this spot is a shrine, too, for boxing, for its dozens of championship fights, including the 2 Lewis Schmeling Classics. And for football, for the college wars between Army and Notre Dame, for the greatest pro game ever played, the New York Giants against the Baltimore Colts, the 1958 sudden death championship game. Not all the prayers spoken in this stadium have been for victory. Pope Paul chose Yankee Stadium for the first Mass celebrated by a pope in the United States. The Jehovah's Witnesses have met here. Billy Graham has held revival meetings here. 3 years ago, not long after its 50th birthday, a decaying structure in a decaying neighborhood, Yankee Stadium was closed up temporarily for repairs and refurbishment at city taxpayers' expense. The job was supposed to cost $24 million. Today, more than $50 million later, some people say closer to $100 million, Yankee Stadium reopened, with pickets protesting the costly reconstruction, and with fanfare, and with celebrities, heroes of the stadium's rich past. Every one of the stadium's fewer but wider plastic seats was filled. Gone were the girders that once blocked views of high drama. The fences had been altered mildly, and beyond them rose a magic scoreboard. It cost $3 million, $500,000 more than the entire stadium cost originally. And the magic part of the scoreboard, featuring instant replay, wasn't quite ready for opening day. The capacity crowd saw the visiting Minnesota Twins get off to an early 4-0 lead. thanks mostly to Dan Ford's two-run home run in the first inning. The first time Yankee Stadium opened, Babe Ruth hit the game's big home run. Ruth might not recognize the current Yankee team. Its strength is speed rather than power, but he would have been proud of them today. The Yankees rallied, overtook Minnesota, and won the game. They finished the day just where they usually were in Ruth's day, in first place. The two questions most commonly asked about Yankee Stadium have the same answer. The first question is, who has hit a fair ball out of this stadium? The second is, who is buried in center field? The answer to both questions is nobody. There are no graves here, only monuments and memories. In Yankee Stadium, Dick Schaap, NBC News.
Yankee Stadium is often associated with first place, but in one important respect, it is second. The New Orleans Superdome is the most expensive sports arena in the country, costing a cost of $136 million. Yet, given the controversy about the cost of Yankee Stadium, that's one contest where second is acceptable to New York. Good night for NBC News.